Scott Cole, Nick Mizesko, along with you. Happy Tuesday, or whatever day you happen to be listening to the show. Podcast is blowing up. We're happy to see that. We're back here live every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Nick, a lot going on in sports. You got that merging of basketball, baseball, hockey, obviously football news still out there, but what's been keeping you busy in the world of sports?
Well, man, I had a blast this weekend watching the Masters. I mean, hats off to Scotty Scheffler. What a run. But, man, everyone was watching Tiger. Like, it's great. It's great seeing Scotty. Congratulations, man. What a run. But everyone was watching Tiger. Mainly, I'm just excited for the NBA playoffs to get started because I think we have sort of crossed this era in the NBA where we've moved from the super team era to the super duo era. And I think there are 5 or 6 really, really good teams that can make a run if they get hot at the right time. Playing games start tonight. Kyrie has to go and play Cleveland, his old team, to get the Nets into the playoffs. This is a fun time. Plus, baseball started, so, that was cool, too.
Yeah, I went out and saw the Rangers home opener. Got a little sun out there, and it went into extra innings, so I didn't see the end. I had dinner plans. That's my biggest gripe about baseball. Like, I got things to do, man. I got places to be, people to see. It was good, though. I mean, a little National League, got the Rockies, went the extra innings. Of course, the Rangers lost. But they have improved. I will say I went out and saw Al Leiter's boy make his debut for the Frisco Rough Riders. So the Rangers have spent some money. I think they got some good potential. So I'm trying to keep up with the local baseball. That said, Nick, call me again in September. Call me again in October. I'll probably head out to the ballpark a couple more times because I still think the baseball experience is cool.
Yeah, how the hot dogs doing out there? They looking good?
Yeah. All that's good.
Good.
Sunny Rays, barbecue, whatever. Yeah. All that stuff's good. But I got things to do. I got places to see.
Well, I mean, here's the problem we got out here. They've done. I will say this: Chase Field, very nice park for the Diamondbacks. They were smart in building that indoors because, it's going to be 120 degrees this summer, so we don't need to be outside. I will say, you say call me in September. I'm saying call me in September in like 3 years because the Diamondbacks are awful. I mean, they're just awful, and we're only going. It's like when the NBA team is awful, and you just go there to see Kobe come and play. Like that's basically where the Diamondbacks are. It's like, who's got a good series? The Yankees are in town. I'll go watch them. I'm not watching the Diamondbacks.
Well, you got your Guardians.
I do.
Still feels weird to say.
I will say I gotta give a lot of credit to Tom Hamilton, who's the voice of the Guardians. Like, how hard must it be to be a broadcaster for calling a team one name for 20, 25, your entire life, and then having to switch it on a dime? I did get to watch some Guardians baseball this weekend. We got this new rookie, Stephen Kwan, who went 9 for 14 with 3 RBIs. I mean, it's 4 games, but we'll take it. Little hope. And we signed Jose Ramirez to a big contract, which his contract was more than our payroll, tripled. So spending a little money. Does that count?
Someone in the chat saying A+ hat. No, we both got hats on.
Which one?
But I think they're going with your the flat brim Suns. It is pretty. I got more of like a Scotty Scheffler kind of,
I was about to call you Dustin Johnson over here. Like, all right. Let me get a read on these greens, caddy.
It was good to see the Masters, right? I call it the best Sunday nap of the year. You fall asleep somewhere in the middle part, you wake up, and all of a sudden you're hitting a mid-corner. You're like, all right, this is exactly where I want to be. Mm-hmm. I think the cold on Saturday really hurt Tiger Woods. You know what I mean? It was just so hard to overcome for a lot of players. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the players that were around him on the leaderboard, I know he finished plus 13. But there were some high-name players that didn't make the cut that also struggled on Saturday. But I think the Roy McIlroy on Sunday, everything that happened there was awesome. And you never know, right? So I think Scheffler played pretty safe, especially when he knew that, Smith was kind of off the radar.
Yeah.
After he went in the drink. But there's always that chance, on the back nine that someone's going to come back down. And so when he posted a good score in the clubhouse, I thought it was, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was Certainly not the Chamber of Commerce weekend. I think the Augusta National folks were hoping weather-wise. It was a tough weather weekend. They really got only one good day of weather, and that was Sunday. Um, Listen, I mean, for me, it was one of those tournaments that, like, I don't know if we're gonna look back on like, wow, this was an instant classic. We have a couple of those. This wasn't it. Scheffler was in pretty good control most of the way. It was great seeing Rory contend. I mean, first of all, Scotty Scheffler. I mean, what he's won 3 tournaments in 6 weeks. He's on a Fred Couples-esque run.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up as we head towards the PGA Championship next month at that's at Brookline this year. But for me, I mean, I think there were 2 great stories. One was Tiger Woods. I mean, obviously, I think just him being able to complete those rounds, you saw the fatigue come into play, certainly not having played 72 holes of golf and having to walk that course that does undulate. He certainly looked tired, but how about Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, who said Augusta National plays as a par 67 for me. Oops a doodles, shot an 82 and missed the cut in the second day. Well, Bryson, how's that par 60? You were 15 over par there, my friend.
My lady friend was like, isn't he the beefcake dude, like the real beefed up guy? And I was like, yeah.
That's Bryson. Yeah.
Huncho Jack in the chat's like, NHL talk? I will say it's starting to heat up. I will be willing to talk about that a little bit next week. Obviously, my Stars are in it, my former employee. I think they got a pretty good chance, but I think a lot of the NHL is really up for grabs right now.
My Blue Jackets are not in it. We got Patty Laine. That's all we got. I don't know.
By the way, the restaurants around the arena for the Blue Jackets, terrible.
Yeah, awful.
The whole town is terrible down there for eating.
Yeah, I'm not a big arena district fan. I'm certainly more of a Ohio Stadium, High Street, College Town. I think those are
High
better
Street's
restaurants.
Great.
Yeah.
What's the steakhouse down there?
That
place is good.
Yeah,
it
doesn't
matter.
That one
it doesn't matter.
Good.
It's the one place, and the market's good. But yeah, Fantastic. That's about it. We are everywhere right now. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Shout out to our LinkedIn folks. What's up,
y'all?
High five.
And we're going to get into some Lakers talk here in a bit. And anytime, I'll be honest, anytime I got time to take a swing at LeBron James, that's probably going to happen on this show. So I just like to put that out there. So if you want to get involved, if there's things you want to talk about, go ahead and hit us up in the chat. We'd love to hit it up. But besides that, I mean, that's kind of how the weekend went for me. Cam Newton really got out of pocket.
Yo, Cam, what are we doing?
Yeah. Okay, so I will chime in here. This is Dangerous Waters.
Woo.
Really dangerous waters. If you missed it, Cam Newton talked about what a woman should be and how they should do. I do think that if you find someone that works for you, right? I mean, maybe so. I think Cam Newton should have chose his words differently, saying, "You know what? The woman for me is a woman that likes to do some traditional things, right?" But to try to define what women can do. I remember when he said, when a woman asked him about running routes, and he's like, "Oh, it's just so funny to hear a woman talk about route running." You know, like, dude, bro, like, you were just so far off that I can't even begin to start.
Yeah, Cam, so first of all, it was funny watching you try to throw those routes. That's what was funny. Noodle arm.
Yeah, so we could do a whole podcast on that. I would prefer not to.
Yeah, Cam, here's all I'll say. Yo, like, you just stop. Just stop, dude. You're not good enough to get away with saying those things. Like, let's go with that. Let's start there. You're not good enough to get away with that. And in this day and age, come on, man. Like, come on. People deserve better. We deserve better. I mean, like, I didn't realize that you dressed like somebody from the 1920s and also thought like somebody from the 1920s. Like, I don't know. Does this hurt Cam Newton's free agent chances? No, his play hurts his free agent chances. He's a bad quarterback now. But for him to come out and say that's just absolutely buck wild. Like, absolutely wild.
Well, let's jump into the nitty-gritty for today. And I tell you what, this quote, if you're a Lakers fan, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a fan of competition, to see this quote, Nick, would drive me up the wall. You would never see this from Jordan, Brady, Kobe. I mean, let's talk about Lakers, Kobe, Jerry West. I've been watching Winning Time on HBO, which is a fantastic program, by the way. Magic Johnson, Kareem, let's just go on and on and on. This is unacceptable. It was a failure of a season to put that much talent, to be honest, just to have a team with you on it. So this quote just tells me you're washed.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it very un-Lakers-like, it's almost very un-LeBron-like, because this is a LeBron James who, for the majority of his career, has preached about how much of a competitor he is and how much he just wants to win, and has, done that at the expense of certain teams, at the expense of certain relationships in his career. So to come out and say this Lakers season wasn't a failure. Listen, I know that there's going to be a lot of Los Angeles Lakers fans that are going to come back with AD was hurt for part of the time. LeBron was hurt. And, we didn't have, Russell Westbrook just never really gelled, and blah, 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 blah. Here's the answer. This season was an absolute and destitute failure. Yep. This Lakers team continues to be near the luxury tax threshold, if not over it. They continue to pay players out of control to bring the superstar team. And let's be clear, this team is brought to you by LeBron James. LeBron James wanted these players on his team. So here's the answer. At the end of the day, LeBron, it is a failure because you built this team. And to me, this looks no different than the Cavs team that you tore apart. Like when you brought in Jordan Clarkson and you brought in all those guys in Cleveland, then brought in Isaiah Thomas because Isaiah Thomas would be, and then took them all out. Like it was an absolute abject failure.
This year, the Hornets kind of swooped them up there.
They actually played decent for them. I mean, it's an abject failure.
They would have had a real point guard on their team.
I don't know how you can look at it. And now the Lakers head into an offseason of what do you do? Do you get rid of AD? Russell Westbrook, there's rumors about could he go to the Pacers? Could he be an Indiana Pacer and go play with Malcolm Brogdon and O'Shea Brissett? I mean, again, credit to LeBron in that, in his 19th year, he almost won the scoring title. He still averaged 29 points a game.
In 56 games.
In 56 games. But
56 games.
It's his 19th season. For him to be able to put up those numbers is crazy.
It's impressive. It's nuts.
He did put a lot of that team on his back and kept them in games they shouldn't have. Do they have some nice pieces? Yeah. Here's the question for me, Scott, is they go out and they fire Frank Vogel, 3 years removed from an NBA title. Fine, whatever.
1 minute after the season ended.
And they didn't even tell it. He was in his press conference. He's like, I haven't heard anything yet. But here's my question. How does Rob Pelinka still have a job? Can we talk about Pelinka? Dude is awful. He is just abjectly awful, and he continues to dodge bullets like Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, and just so you know, on the coaching searching front now, coaches like Quinn Snyder said, hey, I'm not.
Pass.
No. The way you handled Frank Vogel, the way you handled your firing there, I want nothing to do with the Lakers organization. It'll be interesting to see if other coaches take that sentiment. But what coach could have handled that? It's you need a Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Coach K.
David Blatt, bring him back. Israel's finest. Come on, Dave.
Or no coach. Just go Bill Russell style. Just let LeBron coach the team.
I mean, isn't that what we're doing on all intents and purposes? At the end of the day, isn't it? Tell me what are you saying in the huddle? Lakers are down 4 with 2 minutes to go. You're saying, yo, LeBron, what are we doing, right? You're not drawing something up.
Yeah, I think it's what's up, everybody. By the way, Scott and Nick hanging out with you. We got about 15 more minutes left in the show here. We're here for we say 30 minutes every Tuesday. Hopefully, the show will catch on and we'll do some more days. But we're out there.
No, not Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson's actually a good coach, not Mark Jackson.
I don't think he would say enough of those choice words. I think this is a team that needs some choice words.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here 30 minutes every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully we'll expand it to more and do some watch-alongs, that kind of stuff as our schedule. Sharing the show all that kind of stuff you can do, whether you're listening to the podcast, you're watching it on demand, or you're watching it live, getting involved in the chat.
By the way, Scott, before
Yep.
we leave the Lakers, one thing I do love, the Los Angeles Lakers Twitter. Okay, I don't know if every team does this, but the Los Angeles Lakers Twitter posted every single player's exit interview. They posted Kendrick Nunn's exit. What's his exit interview going to be? You know, I'll be honest, the 4th seat on the bench was my favorite one, but the 5th one wasn't too bad. When LeBron kicked me out of my seat, like, that was cool. Like, what are we doing, Lakers Twitter? The number of, I'm looking through these, I mean, cool, Dwight Howard.
We have the ability on the show to
I mean, look at these. Like, what exactly, we got is this the water boy? Like... Yeah, I put.
Who's that guy?
Listen, we did orange Gatorade early in the year, but we switched to the lemon lime. I feel like that was the tough part for us, and I think next year, we might look into Powerade. I'm not gonna lie, we might be looking into Powerade in those orange jugs. What are we doing, Lakers Twitter? Stop!
Hey,
stop!
You don't have anything else to talk about.
It's true.
You got nothing else to talk about. So they're like, what can we do? What can we fill the void with? But it's just to show how much what Russell Westbrook talked about. The team is dysfunctional. Like, the team is not together. Like, to fire, like, Wojo dropping a bomb at the buzzer of the last game of the regular season, it's crazy. And I even questioned Woj a little bit. Like, bro, what are you doing? And I guess it's not on Woj to know, did they inform the coach that he's done? Yeah, so just an embarrassment being the Lakers. By the way, 56 games for LeBron, 40 for Anthony Davis. They only played 21 games together, Nick. For those two on the floor, 21 games. They were 11 and 10.
So 500.
Take that how you want it. But I'm not sure some people need to go. And so if you're making changes, let's assume you're keeping LeBron. Just from a ticket standpoint, what moves are you making if you put your GM hat up?
I mean, again, they've got some nice young pieces. I really do like Malik Monk for that team. I think, LeBron James has always succeeded with teams that have shooters around him, and I think that's what they need to do. Listen, LeBron is he wants to be a creator. He wants to be a pseudo point guard. He doesn't want a point guard on his team, which is why the Russell Westbrook thing, who was a guy who wants to have the ball in his hands, was a confusing move. So I think going out and getting some shooters around him
need shooters.
Would be helpful. And I think, if you're looking at who can they bring in, do you reach out to Miami? They've got a couple shooters out there, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Could you pry one of them away for the right amount of money? Could you go to a team like Dallas, maybe a player like Jalen Brunson? Could they bring somebody like that? There are a lot of guys out there. And, of course, Brooklyn, Joe Harris, got hurt early in the year. Could you bring in a guy like that? Could you go could you go to the same arena? Could you go over to the Clippers and go say what's going on with Luke Kennard? There are a lot of guys out there that could fill that role. I think that's their biggest need right now. That's the offense they want to run. High pick and roll with Anthony Davis and LeBron James with 3 shooters around him. That's their offense.
I don't know how they ever thought Westbrook was going to work. I mean, he is a ball-dominant, high-usage player, right? I mean, he's not a weak side guy. You already have a point guard on your team. His name is LeBron James, right? You just need someone to bring it up when LeBron doesn't want to bring the ball up.
It was always the friction with him and Kyrie. I mean, Kyrie was not a 2. Kyrie wanted to be a 1, and LeBron went, I'm going to run the point. They won a title, and then Kyrie dipped, and he's doing fine now. I mean, he's in the play-in tournament, unlike the Lakers.
It was Vanilla Mac in the chat. He said he's a huge LeBron James fan. How does this quote sit with you? If you're a LeBron James fan, basically, like, this doesn't sound like a winning mentality. This doesn't sound like that you hate losing more than you love winning, right? And for all the greats, Jordan, Kobe, like, and you can go on and on about Lakers dynasties and all this kind of stuff. This is brutal. This is a brutal quote of, it's almost millennial-like of, well, we came to work every day. We tried our best. We got a blue ribbon for participation. Season was a failure. You are a huge part of that team. And I think that's the big part is he doesn't want to admit that the things he wanted to happen were a failure. So let's give the blame to Russell Westbrook. Let's give the blame to Frank Vogel. And let's just let LeBron James continue to just play out there in L.A., right?
I mean,
go make some
I know
more
the answer to
movies.
this question. Would you have ever heard MJ say something like that after a losing season? Okay, just checking.
No. It's just, it's crazy.
Wild, yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Good to see Great One in the chat. Give us some good comments out there. 56 games, Great One. I know, 30 points a game. We all tip the cap like, wow. Unbelievable. But he played 56 games. You just don't have enough going on, really to be successful out there. So where do you go from here? I think that's and let's throw the Brooklyn Nets in there a little bit, right? Are we finally getting away from this, thank God, super team kind of thing that went on for like 15 years of like, let's get all our buddies together that are all-stars. Like back in the day with Jordan and them, like he loved Charles Barkley. He loved all the rest of the guys in the league, but when he didn't want them on his team.
Yeah.
He wanted to beat those guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think, Brooklyn is sort of a different story. I mean, let's not discount the fact that they didn't have Kyrie and KD play together really until the
injuries.
end. Yeah, exactly.
Let's throw Ben Simmons in the mix a little bit there.
Yeah, Ben Simmons. I don't know what's going on with Ben, but figure it out. But yeah, I think we are. I mean, I think we're moving to I don't even want to say the duos because I think that puts too much of the NBA into a box. I think the Milwaukee Bucks sort of broke that stigma of we need a super team. And, listen, Giannis is great, but I don't think anybody would consider Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday like, oh my God, what amazing super team pieces. I think having complementary pieces are what build great teams. I think we're going to see it this year. Can the Phoenix Suns go get it done with a team who Devin Booker is a star and Chris Paul is a star, but beyond that, it's a lot of great pieces. DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Could a team like Boston make a run? Two great players in Tatum and Brown, but beyond that, I don't think anybody's sitting there going Marcus Smart is part of a super team. I think we're seeing team building and complementary players. I don't like saying role players. I feel like role players like diminishes what they do too much, but I think we're seeing the need for complementary pieces around star players to really come into focus. And yeah, I mean, again, I think, you're going to see the super, I think the Warriors are going to have to blow it up, honestly. I think that Klay Thompson contract looks really bad right now. And with what Jordan Poole is doing, like, do you look at moving? I know Steph and Draymond don't want it, but
they didn't have Draymond a lot this year either. So I think the West is just getting a lot tougher, right? And I
would never forget Headband Bobby Portis, McDuggets. Come on, man. Headband Bobby is a legend.
By the way, at the end of the show, new topic that just popped up because we're cool like this. We'll be talking Nick's favorite places to eat in Vegas here in about 5 minutes. So if you got some places, McDonald's, Sapporo, places like that.
Auntie Anne's pretzels. I'm in.
All these places you can have at the airport. You don't even need to leave. You
don't even need to go to the strip. It's easy.
So I don't know where you go if you're the Lakers because I don't know. I just think if you have LeBron James from your team, I don't care what conference you're in, you should be in the playoffs, right? Yeah. I think it's just I mean, maybe he doesn't know how to answer. This is embarrassing, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of a player that had a season the way he did, and you want to call him a top 5 player. I mean, even Jordan's Wizards were making the playoffs. I don't know.
And let's be clear, there wasn't a 4-team play-in tournament then either.
No, yeah. So they missed that altogether. I do think Brooklyn wins. I do think it's sad for Boston that basically they're going to have to face the Nets to have an incredible season. You're like, crap, we got to face the Nets. Maybe they would have faced them anywhere along the road there, but I know people in Boston are not happy. They are happy about this situation right here. People in Boston are happy about this situation down here on the lower bar because your rival is terrible. Yeah. And it's got LeBron James on it, who basically kind of like, in the Eastern Conference when he was with Cleveland really messed with you for a while.
I'm just saying, like, everybody in Boston tonight is like, Darius Garland, go. Lowry Markkanen, go. Let's go, Cavs. They are Cavs Nation tonight, hoping the Cavs can pull off the dub in Brooklyn.
I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it.
I think the playoffs would be better if Brooklyn won.
Okay, so
and I think you have an epic, kind of cowbell opening round with Boston and Brooklyn, but
and then they would face the winner. The winner of that series would face the winner of the Sixers Raptors. The playoffs are. I'll say this: the playoffs are shaping to be amazing. Like, they are really like. We talk a lot about playoffs in a lot of sports and how much we love college football and all.
Yep.
NBA playoffs are really fun, and I think this year we're going to see some just great basketball.
It's the reason, just like baseball, we talked about it. It's the reason you suffer through the regular season.
Yeah, right.
It's for this moment, right? So, but I think this question right here is the main one. You got to get Westbrook out of there. Like, he's got to go somewhere. I don't care what you get back in return at this point. That contract's got to go. He's going to be the highest paid player, $46 million, I believe, next year. So it's like, you got to go. I don't blame Westbrook because, to be honest, I went back and looked at the stats. I'm like, man, he had a terrible shooting performance. He had 9 seasons that he shot worse. 9 seasons that he shot worse than he shot this year. So, that tells me, like, oh my goodness, like, let's don't put any blame on Westbrook. You knew what you were getting. Like, did you think all of a sudden he's like Steph Curry all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Because
he in the words of the late great Dennis Green, he is who he thought he was.
Yeah. If you want to crown him?
Yeah. We let him off the hook.
That was a Bears win, by the way, so I love that quote even more. But yeah, he's got to go, and I don't care who you get in return for him, because I think if you started Malik Monk all the games and didn't have Westbrook on the team, you would have kept a couple of the guys you gave away to either clear room or trade for Westbrook. So I know he's from LA, and I think that might be a bad thing. He needs to be on a small market team where he's got the ball every time he's got a chance. That's why he was good with the Thunder. That's why he was decent with the Wizards. I thought he was terrible with the Rockets, with someone like James Harden. He can't play with a star.
No.
And I
wonder
wonder
go to Indiana or Orlando. Take your pick.
I wonder if you ever really sat down with the three from the Thunder, Harden, Westbrook, and KD, and they gave an honest pick of like, dude, we love Westbrook. He's amazing, triple-double machine. Like, no one plays harder than him in the league. I think he plays harder than anybody in the league. He doesn't have another gear. I think that's the problem, right? He needs to be with D'Antoni, right? He needs to be with coaches like that who just want to see, that kind of ball.
Right.
Let's get, why not? Someone brought up here, let's have a little fun because the Lakers probably need some recommendations. Coming in from Make Reads. He's in Vegas for his birthday this week. What are the food spots you recommend? I will throw one out there. Get the buffet pass. And it's the one that you can eat at Caesars. It's a 24-hour pass. So you just basically go nuts for 24 hours. Get the pass. Start at Caesars. They got a 5-star bakery there. Entrees are good. Bakery is good. That's the kind of enjoy Vegas, glutton yourself on the cheap.
Yeah, again, I'll just give you some quick hits. Legit, first of all, buffets. Obviously, buffets are kind of in a weird spot with COVID. Some have reopened, some haven't. Yeah. But the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars, I think, is the best buffet in Vegas. Buffet pass, pay full price. I don't care. It's great. Underrated buffets, the Wicked Spoon inside the Cosmo. It's like $39.99.
That is good.
Really good food.
Real good.
The Cosmo in general has some great restaurants. Momofuku inside of the Cosmo has a fantastic.
We weren't allowed to say that on air. I don't think.
I'm so sorry. Momo is great. In terms of like other places, if you're looking for a steakhouse, Bugsy and Myers in the Flamingo is one of the oldest steakhouses. It's very good. You can't go wrong. There's so many great places. Good pizza. If you go to the Aria, Moneyline Pizza right by their sports book is the best pizza I've had in Vegas. It's out of this world. And then
Aria in general is one of the best places to watch games.
Yeah, it's great.
I stayed at the new Hilton, right? I stayed at the new Hilton Resorts.
Oh yeah, Resorts World. Yeah,
and I know it's a little bit out of the a little bit off the main. It's over there by the Wynn and the Encore and all that, but tremendous hospitality, tremendous facilities. And I kind of like being a step off this strip, to be honest.
And they have one of the best taco restaurants across from there at Tacos El Gordo in
Yep.
Vegas, across the street from Resorts World. It's a little bit of a hike. You got to get up there, but it is very, very good. I mean, the answer is like, if you're in Vegas, avoid the food courts. Just don't go there. It's Johnny Rockets and chicken fingers. Like, just stay away from the food
Were
courts.
we in Vegas at the same time for Madden events?
No. No, I got to Vegas. I got to Madden right after they stopped doing the Vegas events because the last Vegas event was
missed some of the rooms I've had. Yeah, I've lucked out on some. I don't know. Maybe they feel bad for me the way I look or something. They're like, "You're top floor material. We're putting you up there." And I'm like, "All right."
El, I'm not gonna lie. The thing I get at Momo is that it's the entire duck. They take an entire duck, they carve up the breast, they make a confit out of the meat. They put it on a bed of crispy rice. They give you all the sauces and things. And then they go and take the duck bones and they fry them again. And they give you duck bones to just sort of munch on. It is amazing. It's like $230. It serves like 4 people. It is, I think, one of my 3 favorite dishes in Vegas. Just Momofuku. It's in the Cosmo up on the 2nd floor. Check it out. You can't go wrong.
Famous radio announcer El Who is in the chat. And she says, the pork belly buns and drunken noodles at the Momo.
Drunken noodles.
That's the way to go. So I think we've given him enough.
Is that enough?
I think
you got you.
I think
let's go right now. Okay, I'll see you later, Scott. We're on the way.
And we end the show on just a terrible thing this week. And you being an Ohio State guy with Dwayne Haskins, just wow. I don't care about the guy maybe not finding his footing in the NFL yet as a young quarterback. What young quarterback hasn't? He has not been on good teams. First of all, let's start with that. But let's just talk about, Dwayne Haskins, the person, the smile, what he meant to the Buckeyes and that community, because that's really where you get to know someone is kind of on the collegiate level. And when you saw this, I know I saw this, and I was torn apart. I can imagine someone that's got some Buckeye heritage. You're going, what the what?
Yeah, set aside his professional accomplishments, set aside his football accomplishment. He was a fantastic quarterback at Ohio State. He set records in 2018. He was a Rose Bowl champion. For me, Dwayne Haskins will always be, it's the video of him when he's 11 years old in the locker room saying, I'm going to go here. And guess what? He did. A kid from Maryland, everybody who has talked about him, everybody that knew him, has nothing but glowing words to say. He had a smile that lit up the room. This was somebody who I remember watching his interviews, and I remember watching him do these interviews in when he's a sophomore in college, and he's so articulate and so eloquent. And this is somebody who he seemed ahead of his years. Just a tragedy, so young. Somebody who you even talked to his Steelers teammates who he was down working out with in Florida, and they were saying that, how much they loved being around him. And you saw the outpouring of support from players he played with, guys like Joey Burrow, guys like Paris Campbell. There's a picture at Ohio State spring practice of CJ Stroud wears number 7, and on the back of his jersey he had RIP DH. And it's a it's a senseless tragedy. It is. You can't imagine what his family and his friends are going through. Yeah. It's hard to put into words, Scott, because he's 24 years old. He's a month shy of his 25th birthday. And the part that's crazy, Scott, is the Ohio State spring games this weekend. It's supposed to be a celebration of sort of the kickoff of college football and get to see these new players. And there's certainly going to be this overtone of remembrance. So obviously, thoughts and prayers out to his family, his friends, those closest to him. It's just this one hurts because, he had so much life ahead of him. No matter what he did on the football field, this was somebody who certainly has gone far too soon.
Couldn't said it better myself. If you're listening to the VOD, if you're watching the VOD, if you're listening to the podcast, we're live every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back to rock it out again. And once again, we leave you with a note of rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. We'll be back next week.